What's up, everybody? So I just finished watching Man of Steel 2 times in a row, and it was definitely worth every single cent, except for maybe the 3D, because once again 3D has just been a big disappointment this year. But other than the 3D, the movie was just so amazing. It was everything you would look for in not just a superhero movie, but a comic book movie in general. And of course, for all you Superman fans, it was everything you would want for a Superman movie. Some people might be split on some things, but I definitely warmed up to everything that they went through, especially one spoiler moment that I will talk about later. And to actually state off right now, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, I really recommend that you stay away from this video, exit, pause, and go back, whatever, stop watching, because this will be spoiler heavy. So if you're still here, let's get right into it. The story is pretty much an origin story, and it's very simple, showing events that help shape Clark into who he is. Surprisingly enough, the opening of the movie spent more time on Krypton than was expected. It was actually pretty interesting to see what they've done in their version of Krypton, or at least Zack Snyder's vision of Krypton. It's so different from what we've seen in any iteration of Superman. We get extra screen time with Jor-El and Lara, who are pretty much Kal-El's parents, and it was actually pretty interesting to watch that opening because we get to see Clark being born, we get to see the huge battle on Krypton with General Zod's men, and I liked how it gave off a Superman Earth 1 feel there. But then, to get down and dirty, pretty much once Kal-El is sent to Earth, then the movie immediately snaps towards Clark's present when he's already an adult, and we don't see his childhood until we get a few flashbacks. And what's great is how they kind of relate to how Clark actually got used to his powers, and also how he experienced using some of them for the first time, like his X-ray vision and his super hearing. Also, I want to talk about the powers in this movie. I really love how they are portrayed. The X-ray looks pretty good. The heat vision looks so great. What I liked about the heat vision here was that it looked more comic booky, which was great because I kind of missed that. And this movie does make you feel like it is based on a comic when you see the action scenes. But again, back to the story. It's pretty simple. It's Clark finding out who he is and learning about Krypton, and pretty much coming to accept his powers, and trying to live with the fact that people will be scared and fear what he can do, and pretty much have a hard time trusting him. But it's cool to see how he kind of earns their trust. But the one thing I do have a problem with is how the second half of the movie felt a little too rushed. The first half was really good. It was well paced. It didn't feel too slow or too fast. It was kind of progressing Clark's steps into Superman. But once he stepped into that suit, that's when it started to feel a little rushed. I mean, I can tell that he probably had some training with Jor-El's conscious mind in the computer system. It's really hard to think about the story, especially because the action was what really stood out the most in this. And for all you Superman fans, the action in this movie will not disappoint you at all. People are saying that it was probably too overdone, or a little too long, or I don't know. I really don't know why they're complaining, because they're probably just not used to action scenes this long and this big, because the fight scenes between Superman and Zod and his men are just unbelievably epic that no other superhero movie and probably no other movie can top it. It's really intense, and you can see the impact from each blow, and it's just so engaging to watch, especially accompanied by Hans Zimmer's music. And Hans Zimmer's music was great in this movie as usual. He always delivers a great score that delivers on emotions, on action, on even some thrilling scenes or some like suspenseful scenes. Back again to the story, it was pretty good. It made some original things. I like how even though there was absolutely no kryptonite in this, they made a smart move in how when Clark or Superman is exposed to Kryptonian atmosphere, he would immediately get weak, and I loved how vulnerable he was. The actors in this movie were all great. I thought Henry Cavill was a great Superman. As a Clark Kent, he was pretty good. Amy Adams as Lois Lane, well, I'm kind of half and half on her. She delivered a good performance, and she had some good chemistry with Henry Cavill, but she didn't feel as strong and independent as, Erica Durance in Smallville, or the original actress from the previous Superman movies. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now, but she was a great Lois, and I just hope that, since the Man of Steel has a sequel that's been greenlit. Hopefully Amy Adams will be showing more of Lois's strong and independent side in the next one, but other than that though, she was pretty good in this movie. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White was great. When it came to the emotional scenes, it felt like that's the kind of boss you would want, you know, to be around if you were leaving work during an alien invasion. To also get right down to the parents, Russell Crowe as Jor-El was great. He really made that role his own. I honestly didn't even think about Marlon Brando's portrayal of Jor-El in the past Superman movies. When I was watching Russell Crowe, he was just nailing it as Jor-El. You can tell that he's very intelligent, insightful. Kevin Costner did a pretty good job as Jonathan Kent. Diane Lane was great as Martha Kent. I'm glad that she had a pretty good amount of screen time in this. Her acting along with Henry Cavill, you can tell that they had a really good mother and son kind of bond. The actress who played Laura, she also did a great job as well. You can really tell the pain when Jor-El was killed by Zod. That was one thing that kind of caught me by surprise, because I thought that, you know, Krypton would explode right after Kal left, but then it made sense that it wouldn't until Zod and his men were captured and sent into the Phantom Zone. So I'm glad that they did that. And also Michael Shannon played General Zod, and he was pretty good. He didn't really stand out too much. He's not like one of those villains that'll like you'll remember in like 5 or 10 years from now. He did a good job as a villain. He had some pretty good screen presence. Special effects were good. Whenever the fight scene showed and they would zoom out to show all the destruction and mayhem caused by the fight, and then zoom back in to show the punches and also the faces of the actors. It was like a nice blend from CG to real life to back to CG again. It was all very seamless, and I thought that Zack Snyder did a good job in showing all those action scenes. Zack Snyder did a good job in how he did his action. It felt very comic booky, and you know, when you have Kryptonians fighting each other on Earth, what would you expect other than these long, epic, destruction-fueled fights? And it was also cool how we got to see Superman actually using his heat vision in these fights, and I've always been wanting these kind of fight scenes since, you know, watching the animated series or even the animated movies, most especially Superman Doomsday. If you guys haven't seen that, you should check it out. It's a really good animated movie based on the great comic book where Superman dies. Now, to get down to some of the complaints I had. One, kind of minor because it only happens twice, shaky cam. There are some parts where, of course, we're used to it in movies where the camera is shaking a little to give off a more guerrilla style kind of shooting to make it feel more real, but then there's some moments where it's shaking a little too much. And then the biggest one that I know everyone is on opposite sides against, it's the fact that Superman killed. And I admit, when I first watched it, like, I saw the 7 p.m. and then I saw the 10-15 p.m. right after, because I saw with 2 different groups of people, but then we're actually one group. But pretty much when I first saw that kill, I couldn't believe it, because this is Superman's first movie in what could be a DC universe, DC Films universe, and immediately he kills off his main bad guy. And at first that kind of made me not enjoy the movie so much, but then when I watched it the second time, and then, you know, I came home, kept thinking about it, and even the next day I thought, okay, I guess it makes sense that he had to do it, because it's kind of like when Superman fought Doomsday, especially in the comics, where he gave his all and he eventually had to just bring Doomsday down because he was an unstoppable killing machine. So it was either Superman dies bringing him down, or, well, pretty much he couldn't let him go. And the same thing happened in Man of Steel, where I love how Henry Cavill was playing that scene where he was begging Zod to stop, and once Zod said never, I guess when you think about it, that made sense that Superman had to do it. No matter what he did, Zod would not stop, and Superman had to give that killing blow. So I'm actually giving that a slide now and not being too hung up on about it, especially since Zod already has nothing to live for other than the pain of Superman. So of course the pain of that would be killing everyone on Earth, so Superman had no other choice, so I'm gonna let it slide. The one thing though I did like about how after Superman kills Zod is that you can tell that he's in so much pain, because he broke his he has his morals, and to go against that and actually take a life. He's in so much pain, and it's something he didn't want to do, but he had to. And I like that tender moment where Lois comes in to comfort him. I thought that was really well done, and it actually did show how hard it was for Superman to make that choice. And Henry Cavill again, as he begged Zod to stop, I was on the edge of my seat almost. It was such an intense fight, not just because of all the huge destruction, and even my one friend said it was like a Dragon Ball Z kind of fight, and he kind of laughed thinking about it, but dude, come on, it's a comic book movie, and it's Superman. He's the strongest one in the DC universe, at least that I can think of, and when he's gonna fight another Kryptonian, it's gonna be a huge battle, and that battle didn't disappoint. And now to also get into the Easter eggs of this movie, definitely the LexCorp logo. It's good to see how they kind of give a foreshadowing of Lex Luthor. And also the biggest one that really made me so happy, the Wayne Enterprises logo, which showed up on the satellite that got destroyed by Superman and Zod's big fight at the end. The camera was here, and then the satellite was here, so you would see the W logo upside down, and you can vaguely see Wayne written on it, and it gets destroyed, and then the satellite kind of shifts its position a little, and you see like maybe a frame or two worth of time. You see it in plain sight, the Wayne logo, and it's like one of those if you blink you miss it moments where it's just so clear, and it's just destroyed by Zod and Superman's fight. But I thought it was great because that could mean that we're actually gonna get a Justice League movie, or at least I'm hoping we first get a World's Finest movie. It's just sad that they're gonna have to reboot Batman so that they can actually share the same universe as this Superman, since the Christopher Nolan trilogy shared its own universe. But it's fine because finally we're gonna have a more comic book type Batman instead of a more real life one, so I'm excited for that. But again, back to the movie. It's another one of those great summer movies. I didn't think it would top Star Trek Into Darkness. I kind of had a feeling it would, but as an overall movie, I thought Star Trek Into Darkness was better. I thought Man of Steel was a good superhero movie. I thought it was an epic superhero movie, but I wouldn't say it's like my #1 superhero movie. It might be #1 if I keep watching, but for now I could probably put it at #2 after the Dark Knight trilogy. Ending felt a little too rushed, which was my big complaint. I mean, a huge amount of the city was destroyed, and then out of nowhere we cut from Superman killing Zod to as if nothing happened. Even the Daily Planet seems like it's in one piece and not affected, but I thought it was close enough to be destroyed. So as a summer movie, you will really enjoy Man of Steel. It's not as dark as you would think from the trailers, which is good. It has some light moments. You will probably be on the fence again with some things about the movie, but I actually enjoyed everything about it. It was true to what material they decided to follow, and it was a nice portrayal of Superman. Probably my favorite of Superman because it felt more like the comics, which is great. So to top it off, I would give Man of Steel a 9 out of 10. It's got some problems. People are probably going to want to rate it less, but I would not rate it any lower than a 9. The actions were great, but it does have some flaws, and still it's not enough to make it a bad movie. It was great. I would watch it maybe 2 more times, so making it 4. Hell, I would probably even watch it like 5 times total, but we'll see. And again, be cautious if you're gonna watch the 3D. It's not worth it. It was pretty bland or flat, and it's like watching a 2D, so you might as well go for the 2D. But other than that, if you guys have seen Man of Steel, feel free to tell me what you liked or loved about the movie. I know I love the entire movie, especially the fighting, and also just seeing Superman feel more like Superman in the comics, and also the music. So like, dislike, whatever you choose. Feel free to comment if you want. I won't force you, but definitely go check out Man of Steel. It's a monumental movie, at least for DC Comics, and especially because hopefully this means we are one step closer to a Justice League movie, and I cannot wait for that. So go check it out. You will have some great fun with it. It's gonna really leave you on the edge of your seat when you get to the fight scenes, and just have fun with it, and please don't be too critical on it, otherwise you won't enjoy it. So go check it out. Man of Steel, 9 out of 10 again. Love that movie. Great portrayal of Superman, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day. Take care and have fun watching Man of Steel. Later.